But Mike Macdonald, we haven't discussed him being the new head coach in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Your initial thoughts on Macdonald there, and then maybe what Seattle could do with that pick at 16.
I like the hiring. I think we talked a lot this season about how good Mike Macdonald's defense has been. In Baltimore, they've had probably the best pass defense in the NFL. Overall defense has been very good. It is running. The Vic Fangio scheme was really in vogue. Maybe it's going out right now, and the one that's coming in is the one that Mike Macdonald is running. It's the right defense to be capturing, and I think it's the right style of hire to move on from a guy like Pete Carroll with, right? We can debate whether that was a fair move or not, deciding, because it sounds like that was a lot more not mutual than it sounded when they were announcing it, right? Yeah, the Seahawks and Pete Carroll have mutually decided to go in a different direction. He's going to move upstairs. Everybody's happy about it. It's going to be great, right? It sounds like the longer this goes, it was more ownership decided, hey, Pete, thanks for the hard work, but we're going to go in a different direction now. Would you like it to look good, or should we just get rid of you, you know? And they sort of gone for some sort of publicity appealing way of announcing it.
I sense you leaving PFF something like that someday. We'll just mutually part ways, Sam.
Or will
you
we?
won't get fired.
No. But if you're going to do that, you're now in the reality. We're moving on from a legend, a guy that's done so much for the team, won championships, put us in the position to be successful. Who do you try and move on from that with? I feel like it's tougher to say Mike Vrabel, good luck following that, or even Bill Belichick, right, or whatever, like the veteran retread. I think if you're going to try and go in that direction, the easiest sell is who's a hot, young coaching hire, and if they specialize on the defensive side of the ball, the thing we're known for, all the better.
Do you have a way that you would characterize the Mike Macdonald, the Ravens defense? Because it's not just that, it's the Ravens and the Michigan scheme.
Yeah.
And I'll let you, if you want to characterize the scheme in a second. The way I would characterize the rosters for both Baltimore and Michigan, even if you just look at like the PFF grades, it's just solid green across the board. The Ravens were just really good, top to bottom, a good defensive line, edges and interior, good linebackers, good safeties, solid corners. They were good, and Michigan's defense was this, right, Self? Michigan's defense was pretty much the same. No real stars. Self reminds me, he's a Michigan man over here. 15-0 they went this year, Michigan. So they were just, like, who are the stars? They were just solid across the board. But schematically, how would you classify what's going to Seattle right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's aggressive. I think they're good at creating pressure, not necessarily just by front four, not necessarily with the blitz, but with a combination of misdirection, of disguise, of simulated pressure, creeper pressure, like all these things to make it difficult to identify exactly what they're going to do and confuse offenses. Like, we're in the world where now the thing that has the most success in the NFL, I think, on the defensive side of things is some version of disguise, whether it's rotating safeties, whether it's changing the look pre and post snap in the back seven, or whether it's doing it up front as well with pressure looks. And we saw that a lot with Brian Flores in Minnesota. It was a different way of doing it. He would just stack the line with a bunch of guys. Sometimes they'd come, sometimes they'd all drop off. You wouldn't know which. But that ability to put an offense on the back foot with what you were doing on defense and actually reclaim the impetus and the front foot and all this, I think is the way the defense is going right now.
So that's one of the interesting things I think about Seattle at 16, and I think a lot of Seahawks fans talking about these edge defenders who could be available there. And again, Lance Zierlein going Dallas Turner in this mock. The Ravens' team-building effort over the last few years, they have not really emphasized edge rusher. It doesn't mean that they haven't, drafted an Odafe Owe in the first round, or they haven't, put some resources to there. But the Ravens have done a lot of back-to-front type of team building. I think they made a pretty calculated move to go get Roquan Smith in the middle of the 2022 season, and he was a huge part of that defense getting better and better. So I don't know if Seattle's going to go the edge route here, if they're going to go with, if Macdonald's going to carry over. Was that a team-building philosophy from the Ravens, from the front office, or was that a defense-building philosophy? Because if you're creating more one-on-ones, if you're creating more indecision from the offense, you're not necessarily dependent on the guy that wins one-on-one all the time.
Yeah, and the individual that I'm most excited from the Seahawks' point of view to be in this defense is Devin Witherspoon. I mean, we already saw what he did as a rookie. They used him a lot blitzing from the slot. They used him aggressively, creatively. I can't wait to see Witherspoon in this defense. I know he already name-dropped Witherspoon as a guy he was particularly excited to coach. He talked about, they did a lot of work scouting him.
Yeah.
Right, they did a lot of work scouting him, and now he gets to put him in this defense and see what it can do.
So draft-wise with Seattle, I would take a Jared Verse if he was there. I would look at those edge rushers, even if they're not emphasized in that scheme. That might just be where the value is in this draft, depending on how the board ends up following. I think there's some corners that could be available there, but they've really loaded up at corner the last couple of years with Witherspoon, with Tariq Woolen.
And they've struggled to get that defensive identity back in a post-Legion of Boom landscape, right? They got better, but they never really recaptured that magic as a true strength and identity of the team. I think this is a good way of trying to get that back as a team, as a franchise.